See, this all had tin ceiling in it, that decorative tin ceiling that's typical of some of the downtown buildings, but we had to take it all out so the structural engineer and the architects see what's really going on. There is some termite damage on some areas, and there's certainly deterioration on the very south end, but other than that, it's doing all right. This is the only area with a basement. What probably the most significant thing here is a beam. That beam there that's hard pine, it's 6 inch by 11 inch. It runs more than 35 feet from the very front brick wall all the way back to this wall back here, and it's one continuous beam. The architect, when we first started, thought maybe it'd have a lap joint and it would be, you know, 2 beams overlapping each other with support obviously where the joint is, but it's all one solid beam, which again, Sydney, is one more reason with that Lennel and some other things why the building survived all the problems it's had. There's a big iron column there that's still intact. It's not quite in the right position, but there's another one on the floor that has to be put back basically where this pier is right here. But the contractor, I think in a couple of weeks, is going to start laying in some beams across there and then putting in joists, and then the jack will go back in place. And then once that's done, we'll breathe a sigh of relief and go, ah.
Well, the purpose of purchasing the building was to preserve its history and legacy. James W. Wright was a member of our church across the street. He was instrumental in primarily managing and running several businesses downtown here. This was primarily the headquarters for the black downtown of DeLand, because at that time, blacks weren't allowed downtown. So had to develop a supermarket and things like that here, and much of that was centered in this building. And from the church's perspective, there's just a lot of history here. Several family members who were members of the church had businesses here, lived in these apartments upstairs, and the community remembers so many stories and situations from this building. So we just felt it was paramount to renovate it and restore us back to its original glory, and not just this building, but the entire community. So we want to revitalize the entire forest corridor. The purpose will be primarily used to do just that. And the second floor is going to be a nonprofit community incubator. There's several different organizations working within the Spring Hill and Greater DeLand area who are somewhat doing the same thing. So we want to bring them into a space where they can collaborate, share resources, come up with ideas. In addition to that, strategically plan together so we have a greater impact on the community. The bottom will be primarily used for, within this historical structure, for-profit business ventures. So we're looking to generate business downstairs by anchors. And directly beneath us is going to be the DeLand African American Museum, which primarily will showcase African American history in this space, because nowhere else in DeLand is that happening. We have the African American Museum across the street, but it primarily highlights all African American museums. But downstairs, we primarily want to focus on and center our attention on DeLand itself, in conjunction with that museum as well, hopefully. So my church has tried to acquire this building for at least 3 or 4 decades so that it didn't get to the state or condition that it is in now. And as I indicated, there's just so much history here. Everything from Ku Klux Klan fights at this light to, you know, even now there's a stigma within the black community about going downtown. That doesn't happen often because for so many years it wasn't permitted. And much of your shopping happened in this space, in this district. So we just feel it's significant to revitalize that, not to segregate or to separate again, but to just make sure this memory is not lost of what this used to be and how we can move this community forward, a community that's often disenfranchised and lacking resources currently. So we want to collaborate with community gardens in conjunction with Stetson, City of DeLand, and several other partners to make sure that the 21st century is also reflected in this space, while also helping people understand what it used to be and what it has now become. So,
of course, you know, we're always looking for more funding. We have the, you know, it was a great honor to get the National Trust grant for $100,000. That was We were one of 463 organizations that applied for it, and 22 were picked to get the award and the honor of being part of that. So that was wonderful. We're still fundraising at this point. We've talked to several financial institutions in town, and we're talking to a couple of foundations and some private donors, so we're hoping that that would put us over the top in terms of having enough money to actually finish the building. At this point, we're concentrating on what is the next phase. We had the emergency stabilization, so now everything has scaffolding and jacks, and there's been some repair work done, and we had a temporary roof to divert to get the water back to the scuppers. So in a sense, we put a Band-Aid on it, and now we're looking to do surgery and get it properly healed up. So the permanent stabilization, we'll be putting a brand new roof on it, sealing off the shell, painting the entire outside of the building, so it'll be much more attractive than what it is now. And we'll be specifically working with the windows and the doors on the exterior side, and also, of course, putting in a permanent structure to stabilize the interior, which is mostly replacing the floor joists and some of the walls, and putting in subflooring with plywood so people can come in and start to visualize what's going to happen here in the future. And that should be, from start to finish, should be about a 6 months process. We hope it's only 6 months. Sometimes these preservation projects can drag on because of financial concerns and needing funding and applying for grants or whatever. So sometimes they can take several years, but we're hoping to finish the permanent stabilization within about 6 months. And then we're going to do some more fundraising and apply for a grant, I think, with ECHO, which is the Volusia County Environmental, Cultural, Historic, and Outdoors Grant Program, in November to get money to finish the building, which then would be doing all the finishes inside and actually putting sheetrock on the walls and carpet on the walls and air conditioning, heating, and all the expensive stuff with plumbing, electric, and all that. And that part of the process is a year and a half kind of process for that. So we're looking at about a 2-year time frame here, I think, realistically, to finish it. I'd love to be able to do it sooner because the community wants it done and the community's ready to use it when it's finished. As Mario was saying, you know, there's community gardens groups all over Spring Hill here, and it's been a pretty successful program to get those going. And the Department of Agriculture wants to come in here and talk about dietary stuff and good, healthy eating for the community, and you know, and there's prospects for economic development as downtown DeLand expands its commercial kind of retail, shopping, restaurant, etc. Hopefully it'll expand down this way, and a lot of the local people here that have vacant lots and buildings and things hopefully can be somehow get part of that action. Quite frankly, we're hoping that'll happen. So it's all quite a process, but we're looking forward to it. So